So the fourth guy that we're going to look at, defensive tackle, Darius Alexander, 6'4", 305 pounds, from the Mid-American Conference, Toledo, a guy that you heard at the Combine kind of moving up boards.
Well, had a tremendous Senior Bowl. So you're going to see him here. He is a strong guy. First thing he's going to do, that's Pittsburgh, he's going to drive the guard back in. Now you're going to see him on the right guard. He does a great job of getting rid of, being violent with his hands, using his hands in space, seeing the ball. Then you're going to see him drop here. He's going to drop into coverage. He's a spy, and he picks the ball off. So he's got great ball skills. He's got great athletic ability. See him return it for a touchdown. The thing you like about this guy is that now they move him out to the end. And now he's gonna bull rush and get the quarterback out. So a couple things really stand out because of the 53-man roster. He can play multiple positions. He can play inside. He can play outside. He can drop. He can rush the passer. He can play the run. He's a guy that's very intriguing because he played in the MAC. The thing that sold me is the Senior Bowl week. He just dominated high-level players with his athletic ability. 6'4", 300-plus pounds, great upside, position flexible. He's a guy that'll probably be around on day 3, and if he is, he'll be a steal for someone who gets him in on day 3.
Yeah, and relative to the MAC, remember Braden Fisk, who ended up going and playing really well at Florida State, spent 3 years at Western Michigan. He played pretty well as a rookie. So I wouldn't. And I get the whole competition in the NFL. Guys from the MAC usually can play some defense, though.
Well, the best thing I would tell everybody, because I've been asked this question, I will say this: when you go to the MAC as a defense or an offensive lineman, a lot of times you'll be just as good. The guys who go to Ohio State and they go to Michigan, they go to Penn State, Florida State, those guys are 6'6" and they're 300+ pounds when they get there. These guys that go to the MAC, these guys have the frames, right? So they might be 6'5", 230. But their frame is there. And that's kind of what happens with these guys in the MAC, is that they go there and they get developed. And the MAC coaching is outstanding. So they get really well coached, they eat really well, they lift really well, and then they fill out that frame. Those tight end, those MAC guys that they go to Eastern Michigan to be a tight end, they put on 50 pounds and now they're a tackle and now they're an NFL prospect because they have those tight end feet. So that's what really the MAC, especially the offensive defensive line, is just that they need to be developed and grow into that man body, which, ends up happening. And that's why you get a guy like Darius Alexander.
Yeah, and Max Crosby is from Eastern Michigan. So he just signed a pretty nice contract extension with the Las Vegas Raiders. So there is a history of guys like Darius Alexander coming into the league and doing well.
Well, if you look at the Power 4 schools, for me, it's all about depth, right? So at Eastern Michigan, those guys at Eastern Michigan, those guys at Toledo, especially the high-end level MAC schools, they can play with anybody in the country. The difference is at Ohio State and Michigan, those second and thirds, they're the same as the first guys. That doesn't necessarily happen at the MAC school, especially with NIL. But if you look at the first level, the starters on most MAC schools, especially like the Toledos, the Ball States, and Northern Illinois, those guys can play with anybody in the country. Northern Illinois, who went to Notre Dame, that wasn't a fluke. That was physical, up front, fifth-year seniors moving the ball in a really good Notre Dame defense. That was not a fluke whatsoever. So it's just development when you get to the MAC. They do a great job of developing, and those guys growing. It's what can I develop this guy into, not what he is already.